It's all in our hands, this life of time. Let's give unto us all.
If it's diversity in all its forms, shapes and sizes, look no further. South Africa is the center of the universe.
We watch it pass and grow.
No wonder it is now rated the greatest country in the world and the most desirable for international tourists. Long before this accolade has been bestowed upon South Africa, I have been obsessed with capturing its beauty with my camera to share and inspire. A couple of years ago, it dawned on me that my photographic travels and the associated experiences were much deeper than just bringing back home photos. The images alone didn't allow me to share the deeper experiences when out capturing. I had more to share, most of this invisible. Where the Atlantic and the Indian Oceans meet, located at the foot of Table Bay, now the fifth most popular of the official world wonders. And what better place to start this series in Cape Town, just rated the world's greatest city, the culinary capital of Africa, leading festival and event city, greatest growth city, best city of bars and restaurants, number one food city in the world's design capital, Africa's leading meeting and conference destination, one of the most environmentally friendly cities, and. Rising up from only Fynbos at first, from absolutely nothing man-made, courtesy of the Dutch Indian Company, the world's first global company, as a halfway station for ships between Europe and the East. And allow me to add, by miles the best and developed and developing infrastructure of a city, region and province of its size in Africa, and yet possibly the best in the West, the tip of Africa, the heart of Africa.
This is a typical example of how culture and the beauty of a culture has been retained to benefit tourism and the sustainability not just of this area but of the whole Western Cape and South Africa. It looks exactly like you in Cuba. If you look at how the clouds are playing with these colors, it's absolutely out of this world.
My mind keeps searching, but my heart decides. Thoughts can be cruel, they're not mine to own. The space unravels when you let go. What's yours, it ain't mine, that energy goes today.
I've come from the Bo Kaap Deli, and I look at the spices at the Atlas spice company right next to us, and right next to it is a Turkish restaurant, and I'm just googling to see what the Turkish community or the Ottoman Empire has got to do with the Bo Kaap, and quite amazingly, I'll read this. It never ceases to amaze me just how many stories are buried, glossed over or ignored in this, our faithful country, South Africa. I have been distantly removed from ethnicity, creed and religion practices for decades, and now look at the origins and heritage from my family and my community from the safety of my keyboard and through the lenses of my camera. I've known only superficially that genetically the Cape Flats is one of the most diverse places on the world. And I've just had a conversation with a local in the Bo Kaap here, and he challenged me, and that my genes will show that we've got the same ancestry and so on.
How long has your family been in Cape Town, in South Africa?
I think 4 generations. So van die eerste Hollanders wat hier gekom het.
Van die eerste Hollanders?
Yeah.
And I can tell you, if you're going to do a genetic test, you'll find my genes in your blood.
Look at my nose.
Yeah.
So that's what he says, is genetically it could be the most diverse spot on earth. So what the article says is exactly why I do this and why I start this program on the Western Cape and specifically at the Bo Kaap. It's because, you know, for 230 to 40 years this Bo Kaap has survived exactly like it is. It's the first Muslim center of South Africa, and it's got 13 mosques in a square mile, which is the most mosques in the whole of the world. And this Bo Kaap area has remained like this. The Muslim community has also used the Dutch language, and they speak Afrikaans, which is the Dutch language. And of course it was founded because the Dutch Indian company brought the slaves from Malay and Indonesia to the Bo Kaap. Because the local Africans refused to work for the Dutch, and quite surprisingly in history they were not martyred or put in jail. They'd rather leave them and use the Indonesian or the Muslim slaves to work. So the genetic pool of the Bo Kaap in this area here is quite surprising. But the Ottoman Empire at the Turkish restaurant that we're sitting over here has got a very deep-rooted history.
But how does this city, and indeed province, succeed to bloom in a country where everything else is being destroyed in record time by one of the most corrupt, destructive governments in the history of mankind?
This is the Bo Kaap, the Western Cape, and I think South Africa's most colourful neighbourhood. It is an area that was in 1760 purchased by a Dutchman for slaves to be rented out, whereof about 56 or 57% are Muslims. And according to the South African Heritage Resource Agency, this is also the greatest collection of pre-1850 architecture in South Africa. Muslims, and it's also where the first Muslim community actually in South Africa started, is in the Bo Kaap over here. Skilled Muslim labourers called Mardaikas moved to the Cape from Southeast Asia and lived in the Bo Kaap, this area. Between 1790 and 1825, more housing in both the Cape Dutch and Georgian styles were built for the expanding population of tradesmen, craftsmen and artisans. More Muslims continued to move into the area, including a wave of political exiles from Java and Ceylon circa 1820. After the emancipation in 1834 and the arrival of liberated slaves, developers constructed numerous rows of narrow, deep, what is called huurhuises that you see behind me here. The brightly coloured facades are attributed to an expression of freedom by the new homeowners.
To add smell and taste to my sensory overloads in the Bo Kaap, all roads lead here.
Sitting in the Bo Kaap Deli, a true Bo Kaap business, and also the 2023 Breakfast of Cape Town Award, as you can see, and it's right opposite the tikka house, Ahmed's tikka house, where they do the tikka chicken. I'll grab one of them now, but you know, part of the spicy and up road and down road, you got all these colourful buildings, and it truly is. It's a breakaway from all of this fine dining, pretentious nonsense that you get, and that's why it gets the award. Because I tell you, I mean, we ordered the chicken liver peri-peris over here, and I was blasted away because it is just absolutely out of this world. And there's no chicken livers that I've eaten in a 5-star or 6-star boutique hotels that come close to that. So absolute gas. So we're going to try something else now because it's a breakfast of the country. But yeah, popular. But you support the local Bo Kaap community, I believe, because this is a true Bo Kaap business. It's not a pretentious thing or a gentrified thing from somewhere else where the money goes out. I believe it stays in. So yeah, that will be one of my frequent places that I'll return to. But I'm going to do some photos now. But first we're going to get some breakfast.
The camera hanging from every downwards C curve in my body sparked conversation with Yasser Bully in the Deli. And within seconds, our subjects rolled out in stories. And when that happened, one must pay attention. Because attention is the first form of love as far as I'm concerned.
Hello, how's it? Who? Abdul Fattah. You look like a Dagestani.
What do you mean?
Like you look like a Nurmagomedov, like Islam. You know them?
No.
Don't you know Nurmagomedov? The cage fighters.
Oh, yeah, my friend.
Khabib.
Yeah, Habib.
Khabib.
Represented in the right way, you know, or the people being represented in the right way. So that's the purpose of the Bo Kaap Tourism Association. So maybe one of the things that you want to do is actually speak to the people that's involved, you know. So the guy that I'm staying with is in, you know. And the
Okay, so I want to tell you where that fits in exactly with what I'm rolling out. So I believe that the camera can change the country. What I'm doing is I'm recapturing South Africa with the visuals and the beauty of the beautiful spots and the beautiful people. So it's photographically based. And what I'm doing is I'm getting coordinators in every area, and they want to bless and make photo towns.
Yeah.
So as I go, I say, and I believe Bo Kaap is my #1 photo town. So they always pick the best town and the country and that. So I want to make it a photo town, like Cassiesbaai is a photo town, really photographic, photogenic places. And then I use tourism, because tourism is the easiest way to turn a country, a region and a country around. It needs less money, and it is the most sustainable if it's done correctly, and exactly the things that you're talking about is recognized.
So in Bo Kaap, for example, the tourism that's taking place here at the moment is not responsible tourism. It's taking, right? If you look at the coverage that we have at the Cape Town International Airport, the real estate that they've given us. Any visitor that arrives, you walk down the passageway and there you see the Bo Kaap represented hugely. Now, if you go to the website of Cape Town Tourism, for example, there aren't any menus that click into the Bo Kaap. Right? There aren't any. The local service providers, you have local service providers, but 95% of the tours are operated by tour companies that are not from here, and our struggle is that we have the capacity, but we don't have the visibility yet. Right? We have the resources, and we are plugged into the community. I'm 7th or 8th generation from this area, right? And it's wonderful for people to come here. And the thing is, for us, the recognition is not in place. That the Bo Kaap has always been on the forefront of the world, because Cape Town has always been a cosmopolitan city, because everyone that's going to the east had to come past here. So the fact that this community has been dealing with people from all over the world is from the get-go.
Exactly what I say.
So ons is hier van 'n kalkoen uitgebore nie.
The Bo Kaap is one of the main reasons why tourists come here.
Exactly.
You know, it's so high on the agenda. I mean, you look at the buses, and that's part of the thing, right? So the buses come into the Bo Kaap. It's a small area. People who live in the Bo Kaap, they know how to drive. So there's this thing of courtesy. When you're coming to a narrow road, the guy that's coming down the hill, you give them scope, right? So it's small little things. So the buses pull up and they park wherever they want to. There's no zone for them to actually arrive. They wreak havoc with the traffic in Wales Street. You know? Then you've got the tourists that come in. It's okay, the colourful houses, you come and you pose in front of the houses, but now there's hulle maak lawaai, hulle maak geraas, it's disrespectful. Now you come as the owner of the house and you come outside and you go like, excuse me,
I'll pick all of that up.
and then they give you grief. So that must mean that however they're finding out about this place, they somehow feel that it's open and it's free for all. Right? And this is the kind of, you know, not with all tour operators. There are tour operators that engage with the community. You know, there are tour operators that make use of our locally owned businesses. But at the same time, it's like, okay, the Bo Kaap is the next big thing to make money as a tour guide. So wherever you are, wherever you're from, doesn't matter. Come and take full advantage of the area and give nothing back, and it's perfectly acceptable.
Ask Sean Hilton here. He knows the deeper nerve of the places he overnights. No one pretends in front of what they believe is a hobo. Let's play a game. Take a quick guess who and what Sean over here is, and I'll be back. We talked cameras, filming, South Africa, Africa, beauty, tourism, real and honest tourism, and much more. Yasser's meeting turned into a meaningful conversation from the word go, and Ahmed's tikka chicken was next on the list.
My tikka, bra.
I believe if you prepare food with loving, friendly attitude, you bless that person that eat it into their quantum levels of every cell, either good or bad. There's no deeper physical touch, and if one cooks your food with such a wide smile, just imagine what it does.
Yeah, I started on a 50 mil lens. Now I'm about to bag 50 mil yen. I can shoot all day, I got stamina. Turtleneck on with my camera, yeah. Stay creamy, man, that's what they say. Shoes laced up and I came to play. Yeah, I'm first team, I'm a superstar. They call
From
me
my
Cream.
peripheral view, she approached me. Take photo of me. Color.
You won't lose right now, like click, 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 swish. I can switch it up anytime like this. I'm a videographer and
The power of colors, fake history, forgiveness, hope, diversity is what confronted me internally in the Bo Kaap.
pull up and take the shot. Take the shot, take the shot. You know I'm gonna take the shot. Take the shot, take the shot.
How's crime affecting this area?
Crime, it's at this moment there's no crime like you can say, but there's a lot of people, they coming in from different communities. They put on a tent, they sleep here, they drug. Now everything happen at night while people sleeping. You can't trust no one today. The drugs affect them. If you go around the corner there's a lot of tents, and no one of them are coming here from Cape Town. They're all from different, from outside. They come, they know here's a piece of bread and here's money for them. They get food, they get clothes.
Gigi, her daughter and granddaughter are selling freshly baked goods and in the same time act as voluntary guides to tourists that walk past, hoping to make a buck or two. They are from the original bloodline of the initial Malay slaves that built the Bo Kaap. Who better to tell the stories than them? Her daughter, after spending 20 years in the Sudan, had to flee recently due to the violence. And she explained how safe and peaceful the society there was before violence erupted almost overnight.
Where they actually did genocide because of their tribe. The people in Darfur was well known for what? They used to just memorize the Quran and they used to live by that lifestyle. Very simple.
She and her daughter had to flee, ironically back to the Cape, where she comes from, leaving all her earthly belongings behind. Talking about violence, I noticed a portion of the Bo Kaap residents also recently joined the outcry and displayed their solidarity with Palestine by painting walls, displaying flags and other means. I hope it's not for Hamas though. Another one of those situations fueled by dark forces where people ending up killing each other needlessly. The once eerie Muslim call to prayer for me through the speakers of the mosque carried me away momentarily to the brutal Middle East. But Tablemountain in the background quickly snapped me back and at ease. An emotional juxtaposition triggered by a visual experience of note, if ever there was one.
Absolutely, the deeper side of it, the other dimensions, the spiritual side.
But also in terms of where we are a leader in the world is what I've spoken to you about earlier on.
Yeah.
Right? We've got so many mosques in this area where you hear the call to prayer for the last 300 years. There's a there's an implicit understanding that when you speak about places like New York, London, Paris, Berlin, Zurich, you're speaking about cosmopolitan areas that are supposed to be a plural in their nature, where they have these open minds, right? But the reality is that you don't hear the call to prayer in Paris. You don't hear the call to prayer. You don't hear the adhan. No, you don't hear the adhan in London. You don't hear the adhan in Zurich. You don't hear the adhan publicly in New York, right? You don't hear it in LA, right? So as far as I'm concerned, is that as Africa, we've got something to teach the rest of the world.
Exactly.
So when I did a residency 2 years running, the first time in Columbus, Ohio, outside Columbus in a place called Westerville, and then the second time for 8 weeks in Brooklyn, what I used to say to the students is that we've got something to teach about truly plural societies. You know, as a Muslim, from an Islamic perspective, as someone that has traveled, I can say for sure that what you find here is something completely unique that has been shaped by the African continent. As much as we want to think of Cape Town, for example, as Africa for beginners, the undeniable truth is that the Cape Flats is ironically what attaches the Cape Peninsula to the rest of the continent.
What first comes to mind as I stroll through the streets of the Bo Kaap is that although this was the first proper housing for emancipated slaves, it also is the last remnants of the Group Areas Act under the old apartheid government. Ironically, residents now are fighting gentrification as the whole world wants to buy a piece of this colourful gem of the Cape, hugged between two oceans and Tablemountain. Now the sounds, beauty and diversity of the Bo Kaap made me think and dig deep, very deep. It made me challenge the narratives of our modern world, of my upbringing, the laws of my society, and so my everything. Thank God some of us have the opportunity to reset our ideologies and start over every so often. And that's what's important now. A new beginning, a fresh start. Slaves can become presidents. Some presidents must just become slaves. Humans can reinvent themselves over and over. Let's take the best of today, not yesterday, and build upon it, only learning from yesterday, never blaming yesterday, because then our kids will become slaves again. Let's overflow with gratitude like Sean, that speaks to God not just before or after eating or in call to prayer, but with every bite of the food he takes. Yes, every single one. But tonight, Sean must pull everything he possesses to hopefully a spot where the bullets don't keep him away like last night. My God protects me, he says. No bullet can harm me.
Yeah, started on a 50 mil lens. Now I'm about to bag 50 mil.
I wanted to get to the other side of the bay to capture this popular of one of the official wonders of the world. It adds very definitely, strongly to the visual power of Cape Town from any angle from within the city. It is, however, a different experience to see this from this angle that dwarfs the popular centre and puts more emphasis on its overall beauty.
I just got some nice clouds over Tablemountain, and so the clouds are moving quite fast. Maybe a nice time lapse. And this is the view that all the seafarers from the Portuguese to the Dutch and the British saw as soon as they came over around Robben Island. Cape Town, just to the feet of Tablemountain over there. The list of accolades for Cape Town is longer than my arm. And it really is an icon of Africa right at the southern tip of Africa, not true south. I mean, that's obviously in Agulhas, but as ships come around the southern point of Africa, that's what they saw. Tablemountain. Check, you can see all the cargo ships lying waiting to enter the harbour, Cape Town, from all over the world. A little tripod here, and I'm a bit scared about the wind. It can blow it over. Let's see, the clouds are playing with.
Hazy conditions are the worst for photography, and I will return for a detailed shoot at some other time. A random wine bar at the spur of the moment to have a bite to eat, not wanting wine, but the fact that I never tasted Quinn Rock wines and the effective arm twisting of the waiter, I succumbed. After 2 years of alcohol fasting, to have my first sip of wine to taste like Quinn Rock was absolutely surprising and heavenly experience, and one of the very best Shiraz in South Africa, I thought. Rabbit ragu pasta was my meal of choice, and it was a good combination. Because it was such a surprising, tasty wine, I thought I'd quickly pop into the vineyard, but it's a closed system of fine dining that can only be accessed through prior booking. And I used the X, an exclusive, to exit it. It's autumn season in South Africa, and although it does not pride itself as a major fall landscape destination in the world, it is one of the most underrated and undermarketed seasons in the country, combining the autumn and fall coloured landscapes with South Africa's world-class wine, food, and more specific, its vineyard experiences, is one of the unexplored photographic excursions or holidays in South Africa.
I just love sitting in one of the coffee shops and restaurants, do some work. But I mean, there's a lot of photographic opportunities as well. So, you know, it's in the center of the winelands. You've got a choice of hundreds of vineyards that's got their own restaurants and so on. But there's a feeling and an ambience in Stellenbosch that you don't get in other places. It's very cyclical. In winter, it's very quiet. It's a student town, Stellenbosch, and it's probably the brain center or the Silicon Valley of South Africa. And very popular amongst tourists and one of the top, most beautiful cities in South Africa. Nevertheless, from a photographical point of view, it is a center in the winelands, and from here you can travel for months on end to taste wine and to take photos of the autumn fall colors in the vineyards.
This is the Risten Vrede farm. I took the turn off on the R44. There's quite a lot of vineyards or wine farms in this specific area. You get the one turn off, just there by the entrance is another turn off in. But if you get the idea of the trees, and most of the vineyards look like this. The access routes look like this in fall, so you can get some good compositions there. And then even if you work at it, and you can look at the background over there, the lines of colors, and one can come back over a week and a half, 2 week period. You can do this over and over again. What I normally do is I take a morning when the sun is very low, because what you have is then light come from the one side, and if it comes up on that side, then of course the leaves are more exposed to the color because the sun shines right through the back. And so you'll do the one side, for instance, and in the afternoon after you've had lunch and a bit of wine, you can do the other side because the light will be from behind the leaves, and that's when the best colors actually of the fall comes out, when the sun currently is over there. There's overcast. Yesterday was a rainy day, but as you can see in the back where the light comes through, it brings out the colors. On the back side, as you can see with my face as well, it's underexposed, but over on that side, because the sun's from the back, it's better exposed. So what I do is I take one vineyard, and what we do is we organize a meal
at one of the superb restaurants, because most of these guys have got very famous, world famous wines and then some good food as well. So and then as I go along, you know, I'll set up, like for instance, what I've got over here is set up a time lapse, because there's some clouds coming over the mountains. It's not always that you have clouds, and just walking through is an experience on its own. Some of the colors, as I explained earlier on, you can see that there's two types of trees. They make two different colors, and you get these leaves all the way to red. See, what I do is I carry some red leaves that you can get in different places, not necessarily the vineyards, and you can use them for foreground entrance. So let's get into the vehicle and see if we can get a bit of coffee at the restaurant and see if I can collect some more red leaves.
Blending a good landscape and seascape photography holiday with the exquisite food and wine experiences in the Western Cape is unforgettable. But the timing is everything. For the best fall colors, one's got to work it out very carefully. Food and wine you will always get.
I've gone into Stellenbosch now, and last year I did some beautiful time lapses in one of the streets. This year you can see at the same time the leaves are just brownish. But I'm going to drive around and let's see what we get. But see once again if the sun comes from the back. See some nice clouds. So in Stellenbosch you can do some autumn colors, leaves with some old buildings, historical buildings and so on. So it's quite a different take on it. The vineyards itself, the poplar trees and the landscape, open landscape areas, and then the urban areas.
Stellenbosch and its surroundings are to me a perfect, charming, beautiful base to experience this from. Although there are many similar beautiful areas or regions that I will explore in future programs. But there are still good fall photography opportunities further away in the Western Cape, such as the Elgin Valley, Hex River Valley, and much further, such as Kruger National Park's fall backdrops, spots in the Karoo and the Eastern Free State. But you have to know the spots and get the timing precisely right. I will cover this in future programs. I took the Delheim turnoff as an unbooked restaurant because it represents the very best wines of South Africa. That is where quality and affordability's curves dance in harmony in the whole wide world. Most wine farms have good hearty food experiences with ample open spaces to soak up the ambience. After the first sip of white wine in longer than 2 years, I wanted to experience one of my favorite white wines, the Delheim Chenin Blanc. And what a reset to my palate. There are enough beautiful landscapes around Stellenbosch area to keep you busy exploring or taking photos for a few years. Also at the spur of the moment I took the Banhoek turnoff from the Helshoogte Pass.
How is that so beautiful?
Things are changing. The Western Cape of South Africa, as far as me and many others, is the center of the so-called New World. Yes, I mean it, as it will become inherently clear throughout this series. Please subscribe and become a member of Joe's Camera channel and check out the wide range of benefits. Make sure you visit the social media platforms and websites and enter the photographic competition and photograph our towns and routes. Please do all in your power to support the local communities you travel through and buy photos of areas covered in this program. And most importantly, let's recapture South Africa with a camera by sharing its beauty, with the rest of the world and restore and market our beautiful land and its people, especially our small towns.